Hey everybody, Hendo here with Veteran Hiring Solutions. I am so excited about the next 90 or so minutes and what we're going to accomplish. We have a team of experts here standing by to deliver good content on transition of your career. So we put this group of experts together for both those transitioning veterans coming out of uniform into corporate America, but also those veterans that have been impacted with the latest round of layoffs in the federal space. We feel, hey, coming from government into corporate America is very similar to coming from uniform to corporate America. And, as far as this goes, we have a group of experts that you see here. I highly recommend at the end of this conversation, pay attention while you're in the video and in the webinar, but at the end, go back and connect with each one of these people. Follow their profile, follow their company so that you're getting their knowledge on a consistent basis. Also, I want to talk about the mentality of transition, right? We are unique because we rose our right hand to serve our country and something bigger than ourselves, but we're not special. And I want you to remember that. Yes, we're unique because we're serving something greater than ourselves, but we're not special, meaning corporate America sees us as unique, but they're not going to treat us special. It takes effort, it takes focus to go find that right career. So remember that as you're going through this program and that you're moving forward. Also about building your network, right? There are a network of veterans and experts like the people here that are willing to help and to give. You just have to reach out. So I recommend just be brave enough to raise your right hand one more time and ask for the help when you need it. So without any further delay, we're going to start kicking this off. And the first person we're going to have speak today is Jennifer Gemmel. Jen is a Army veteran. Her father spent 20 years in the military, so she's a military brat. She's a veteran. She's done it all. And she's been a career transition specialist at Wounded Warrior for just about 8 years, which means she has a wealth of knowledge. So Jen, thanks again for your willingness to help out. And I'm excited to hear what you have to deliver.
Thanks, Justin. And just to clear it up, I am not a veteran. I am an Army brat. Sorry
Oh,
for
sorry,
the
my bad.
miscommunication, but have been in the military space most of my life now. In addition to the 8 years with Wounded Warrior Project, prior to that, I was supporting US SOCOM with their career transition program as well. So well over a decade at this point. I
Wow.
do have some slides that I want to run through real quick, just for those that may not be as familiar with Wounded Warrior Project. And hold on, I'm at the end. Let me go to the beginning here. Because there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to Wounded Warrior Project. We hear the Wounded Warrior part and we think, oh, severely injured, life-altering injuries, combat wounded, and that is actually not the case. We serve post 9/11, wounded, ill, and injured. That can be a 0% VA rating or higher. That can be an illness, any kind of thing like that. So don't think that this is just available to those that are missing a limb or anything like that. In fact, a lot of the injuries that we are seeing are the invisible wounds at this point. So a little bit about the programs that we do have. They revolve around connection, physical health and wellness, independence for those that do have long-term neurological, spinal cord, or brain injuries, mental health and wellness, and then financial wellness. And that consists of VA benefits, financial education, as well as the program that I support, which is our Warriors to Work Employment Assistance Program. So what we do, we give you a one-on-one career coach that is guided by what your goals are, helping you clarify what those goals are, how to get there. And as a part of that, all the typical things: resume writing, interviewing, networking, getting you connected with other organizations like the ones that you see here as well. We are nationwide. We also have a presence overseas in Germany. But here are the specific Warriors to Work locations that we have. I myself I'm out here in Colorado Springs. But we do have locations at kind of the major military hubs. Again, we support registered Wounded Warrior Project warriors. that are either transitioning out of the military, seeking that employment post-military, are unemployed, searching for work, are underemployed, or that are employed and just want to grow their career. All of those. And one of the things that I really want to stress is this is also available to registered family support members. So what does that mean? Typically, that is a spouse, a partner, but we do not define who your family support members are. You define that. So it could be a parent, it could be an adult child, could be a friend, anyone that you feel supports you in your life and in your growth. This is what the typical employment journey looks like.
Mhm.
We go from that discovery phase of what do you want to be when you grow up, all the way through helping at each stage of this. And you'll hear a lot more from some of the partners on this call about that. So I'm not going to spend any time really on that. Since our inception, we have helped over 11,000 veterans and family members find full-time, part-time opportunities, as well as internships, which is really cool. Um,
Can I ask a question?
yes, absolutely.
So above program success, slide 6, where you talk
Uh-huh.
about discovery, resume, is this a
Mhm.
is this a human to human interaction, right? Are they
It is. Everything we do is one-on-one human interaction, high touch. Like I said, it's like you're getting a career coach for free.
okay?
Um, and so we walk through all of these pieces, but we only do that what is actually needed. So if you tell us that, like, I'm a pro at networking, I don't need any help, okay, cool. Like that, we'll just, we'll glance over that and we'll move on to what it is that you do need. Great
Mm,
question.
good. Yeah, and I would think humility goes a long way there,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And and that's the thing, is like none of us really know what we want to be when we grow up. And so coming at it from that perspective of like, hey, we're all figuring this out, we're all in this together, really, really helps.
Yeah, agree.
Um, Last year, our full-time salaries for program participants was 64,000 on average, which is 2,000 more than the national average. And the economic impact, that just is all the salaries combined that we placed people in. So that's an economic impact of over $73 million. That's it. That is all I'm going to do with the slides. These are the ways to contact us. This is the website where you can join if you want to. All of this is at no cost to you. We never take a dime for anything that we provide. So
So on the front end, you talked about not needing a disability rating to engage Wounded Warrior. That's new to me.
VA rating of 0% or higher. Yep.
Like, do you have to go apply for that rating first, or you can come in without the rating?
You can come in without it. It can also be a long-term profile. It can be a combat deployment. There's multitudes of ways that you can come in, that we will accept you in. And again, your family support members also have access to a lot of these programs.
Yeah, that's amazing. The family
Yep.
support side is really big too. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to talk a little bit more about the actual job search, um, statistics right now suggest that it takes 100 to 200 or more applications to land a job.
wow.
The average number of applicants for a mid-level corporate position is 250 candidates. Of those, only 8 to 10 are actually going to be interviewed.
Mhm.
So these odds are against us, right? When we're just going online to apply at job boards. That's not to say that it's a waste of time, but just go into it knowing that this is what you are up against. The recommendation that I have is apply for those jobs that you match 70% of the requirements. You do not have to be 100% fit. Women in particular tend to not apply unless they are a perfect fit for the job. Now, that being said, with those kinds of odds, what do you do to improve your likelihood of actually getting that call for an interview?
Mhm.
So, for one thing, being intentional about your job search, really thinking about what are your non negotiables? What are the things that you want out of your career? What's important to you? Is it salary? Is it professional growth? Is it flexibility, work life balance, all of those things? And then rank and stack them and make sure that you are pursuing the jobs that you actually want, the ones that you can get excited about, the ones that, inspire you, that allow you to grow. Um, and give yourself permission to dream big. That doesn't mean that you're just going to throw everything out the window and be like, that's it, I'm hiking for the next 2 years. But allow yourself to dream and think about what would be fulfilling to you, what would be a good career for you. There's ways, and you'll learn a lot more from the other experts on this call. There's ways to connect with people that can help you achieve those dreams.
Hmm.
Um, when you are applying online, again, be intentional, be selective in what you're applying for. Make sure that you're tailoring your resume. So what does that mean, tailoring my resume, right? It feels like a lot of work. What you really want to do is give relevant information, especially if you've had a 10, 15, 20 plus year military career. Not everything is going to be relevant to the specific job that you're applying for. So really take a hard look at your experience and figure out what's relevant, what's not. If it's
Hmm.
not relevant, it doesn't belong on that resume. It might be relevant for another job, but maybe not this one.
The points that jump out to me about that is one, you don't want to follow somebody else's transition.
Absolutely.
Just because it was good for your battle buddy or a shipmate doesn't mean it's good for you. And I'm going to paraphrase the quote by John Lennon, but he says, when he was in elementary school, the teacher asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up. And he said, happy. And she said, I don't think you understand the assignment. He said, I don't think you understand life. Right. And it's like, so don't just go, hey, this is the job I want. Think about what it's going to do to you internally. Are you a social person? Are you an introvert? Do you want to be out in the weather or do you want to be behind a desk? Really think about it from that point of view.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's when we're talking about career, that is so important. Like we all understand sometimes we just need a job. We need to put food on the table, keep a roof over our house. But really when it comes to career, you want to be selective, you want to be picky, and that is okay.
Mm.
Um, and then use the tools that are out there to help you do this. It's not the old days where we have to use our brain power for this. We have AI right at our fingertips. I know Best Military Resume is going to be on here. It's a
Mm.
great tool. There's Teal out there. You can go to ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. I mean, there's a ton of them now. And with the correct prompts, this can really help you speed up the process of tailoring your resume. Don't forget to keep the human touch, though. It's
Mm.
great that AI can help you, focus on what are the keywords I need to be putting in here, what skills are they looking for, but make sure that you keep your humanity in there too.
Yeah,
Um,
that can't be overstated. As somebody that's in staffing and seeing applications and everything else, you can tell when AI is leading that discussion or when it's an empowering that human. There's a big difference.
mhm. Absolutely. And honestly, AI is here to stay. We all know it. So, those people that know how to use it as a tool are going to start standing out against those that are still a little bit more hesitant. So definitely embrace it. But, again, we don't want to lose that human touch.
Yeah,
Um,
you're not going to get replaced by AI. You're going to get replaced by somebody that knows how to use AI.
yep. I've
Yeah.
been hearing that a lot lately. Absolutely. And really, those online applications should only be one tool in your toolbox. Part of the reason that this panel is here is because these are all parts of the job search. It's not just about going online, hammering out 200 applications and calling it a day. You want to make sure you're networking. You want to make sure that you're asking for informational interviews. You want to use mentorship programs like ACP. You want to use LinkedIn for networking. You can do in-person networking as well, but all these should be tools in your repertoire when you are applying for jobs. It's not just this is the one and only way. It's a combination of all of these things.
And your networking, you should be doing it ahead of time. It shouldn't be like, hey, I'm here to exploit people. Let me go find who I can exploit. All right. Be genuine in your outreach.
Absolutely. It's about relationship building. That's what you're really doing when you're networking. And again, that is a career focused activity, not a job focused activity. Um, and then use what's available to you. Obviously, there's job boards like Indeed or NLX. You can use LinkedIn for a job board as well. If you're not sure where you want to work, every city typically has a best employers list. Check it out. See what employers are on there. What strikes your fancy. Chamber of Commerce a lot of times has lists of companies that are big within a region.
Mhm.
check out your local workforce centers. Veterans get priority at workforce centers. They have all kinds of resources. VSOs such as Wounded Warrior Project. Find those veteran service organizations that can help you. Staffing agencies, definitely a great route to go, because all you're doing is you're multiplying the people that are looking out for jobs for you. And then think about professional associations too. A lot of times they have their own job boards, but also they have meetings, they have conferences. So again, that networking opportunity. And really, take a hard look at your experience. And if you do identify gaps between your experience and what your dream job requires, then think about upskilling, VRNE for further education, certifications, online learning through LinkedIn Learning or through Udemy or Coursera. Those are all tools that you should have in your toolbox to make sure that you are going after the career that you deserve and that'll satisfy you and fulfill you.
Yeah, as far as upskilling, I mean, there's Onward to Opportunity through
Yep.
IVMF, Institute of Veteran and Military Families from Syracuse University. That's
Yep.
a great program for upskilling. There, I think that's the hard part, right? It's like there are so many opportunities that just figuring out where the right partnership is. And you mentioned third-party recruiting firms like ours. I talk about we're that last mile of hiring, and it's a good resume, good job description, but how do you really bridge that final gap? And that's where people like us can come in and not just coach that veteran job seeker, but coach that civilian hiring manager on why those matches are the right match. No, that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's everything for what we were hoping to cover. Was there any last minute, any points that you were hoping to get across that we haven't covered yet?
No, I think to me it's really, I'm very big on the coaching aspect. That's my background. And so really, the best thing that I think anyone can do for themselves when it comes to career is making sure, identify your values, identify what's important to you, and don't waste your time going after jobs or going after positions that don't align with that. You deserve a career that is fulfilling. You deserve a career that brings you joy, that, you know, checks whatever boxes it is. And again, that's so different for each and every one of us. It's such a personal journey. Yeah, and that's, I think, in order to be successful, that's, you need to start with the inside first and then go from
Well,
there.
and I'll tell you this too, from doing this for 20 years, there's going to be a time where you think it's the right job for you and you don't get that job. And I'll tell you, 99 out of 100 times it's because that wasn't the right job.
Hmm.
Right job's coming down the pike. You just need to keep executing your transition plan.
Absolutely. And that can be really hard, right? Because it can be so devastating. But, just knowing that there's something else out there for you that was meant for you.
Agreed. Well, hey Jen, thank you again for putting this information out for our audience and for just continuing to support our veterans and their families. I
My
really,
pleasure. And I'll hang around in case there's any questions.
oh, outstanding. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to the next expert, which is Victoria. Victoria Thompson is from the ACP, and she's going to talk about career direction and mentorship. So American Corporate Partnerships or Partners, sorry. And she's an Army vet, and I'm just really excited to hear what you have to deliver. So everybody, Victoria, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here. As you mentioned, I am an Army veteran. I'm also a military spouse. My husband's getting close to retirement, so we're excited about that as that gets a little bit closer every year. We're only like 2 years away now. And then we won't be in the military, but we'll probably still be around. I've also worked with other VSO organizations over the years. I've been part of the American Red Cross, serving in the Service Armed Forces branch. So aside from being in the military, I've been around the military and helping in different capacities since 2006. It's been a while.
Well, I was going to say, when I looked at your LinkedIn profile, you followed your passion from uniform, out of uniform to where you are now.
Yeah, I've gotten to serve in a lot of different jobs, and the military moving us around has made that choice for me a couple of times. So it's not always been a decision that I wanted to make to leave a position, but it's been really great to learn new roles every time we move. So our program's been around since 2008, and we offer one-to-one customized mentorship. Everything we do is human-driven, and operations associate like myself is behind every part of the process that you're involved in. We've served over 36,000 individuals at this point, and that 98% satisfaction rating is meeting people where they're at. Because a lot of people, like Jen said, they don't know what they want to do when they grow up. Even if you already are in a job that's kind of like meeting your needs and you feel like you want to grow, sometimes you're not sure where that growth is going. So we are helping people with starting small businesses, figuring out what they want to do with their lives, coming back to the workforce if you're a spouse. We help people in a lot of different points in their transition and afterwards. This is some of our corporate partnerships. Everything we do is free because of the donations of organizations like this and small donations from individuals. We are not a job placement program. So even though you might get paired with someone from Disney, that doesn't necessarily mean we're trying to find a position within Disney, although some of our mentors have really liked their proteges and asked if they could hire them. So that does happen. And we don't tell them they can't, but we also don't market this as a job placement program because that's not what we do. Figuring out what you want to be when you grow up is the #1 challenge. Everyone comes to the program and they're like, I've done 5 jobs. If you've been in the military for more than a year, you've done more than 1 job. And the people that are retiring from the service have held so many different jobs, it's not even funny. So it's really hard for them to pinpoint what they want to do. I think the one that stuck with me the most was having an officer who was leaving. He was a colonel. He had been a doctor his entire career. And he said, I don't want to do any patient care. I don't know what this looks like. I'm not going back to school, but I'm not doing patient care. I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. I don't know what we're going to do because you don't know exactly what you're wanting to do either, but not patient care, but with the experience you already have. So we were able to find a mentor in FEMA who was doing disaster response, and he was paired with him, and he started working later on doing setup for hospitals, so emergency hospitals, which kind of worked out really well. It's not always going to be a unicorn match like that, but that is our favorite, is to find people that are exactly the right fit based on the things you're not even sure you want to do, right? So that was a really great example for me, and it's been sticking with me for so long. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to help this man, but we're going to do the best we can to go out there and find the perfect fit. Not hearing feedback from hiring managers, like Jen said, is very common. ACP gets around 200 different applicants for every single position we get. It's not possible for them to go through them all. So having a mentor who is in that career field and can tell you what your resume needs to look like is so helpful. If you're in finance, that resume is going to have a lot more numbers, I expect, than someone who's in graphic design. If you're in graphic design, your resume needs to be appealing to look at, right? So having that person be able to give you the perspective and feedback that you need to have for you to get to the next level into the interview is so important. Networking is one of the single most important things you are going to do in your search. It just is. There is absolutely no way to get a quick interview other than getting a networking call. I know that because I got this job from networking. I've gotten my last job from networking. I got the job before that from networking. I cannot stress to you the importance of networking. And it doesn't always have to be organizations and programs like this. It was through volunteering for 2 of my jobs, including the one I'm in now, that I was able to meet someone that said, hey, I really like your passion. Would you be interested in working here? So really consider all of the different people that you know when you're looking at that networking, but having someone that's already in the industry is super helpful. A lot of our mentors go out of their way to open up their network to help their proteges find a position, speak to the right people. Translating your military skills is also important. When you come out, there are some translators now that are available. Please use them. It's a great start, but having a mentor that can really explain that doesn't make sense based on what I'm looking at, or when you apply for this job, that doesn't translate the way you think it does, is super helpful. I have a mentor in HR who came with us just because he said, I don't think this person is unqualified, but I can't put them to the next round because I don't know what that means. And it doesn't line up with the job description I have. So I can't really move them forward. The lengths of unemployment and underemployment is just veterans are not necessarily not getting jobs. It's really that we're bouncing around. We have a recidivism rate that is a little bit worse than our civilian counterparts because people will go into jobs they don't really like Jen said. They'll go into jobs that don't pay enough, that don't meet their needs, that aren't aligning with their values. So finding a job that helps meet all those things is super important. And that retention rate goes from 56% to 80% after going through a mentorship with us. We actually check in on our proteges 2 years after they leave our program to see how they're doing. Are you still where we left you? Is everything going well? Do you need any support right now? And sometimes that is a yes, I would love to have an information call with a mentor. But a lot of times they're doing great and they're still the same place we left them. We have had over 3,000 proteges find meaningful employment last year, and our average starting salary is around 90,000 for people who have completed the program. That is about 45% of our proteges who do not have a college degree. If you have the skills and experience, and you can say, I was a first sergeant, I did program project management and everything, and you can translate that in network, you can get a good job. But if you don't have the skills and experience, then it's not going to be a quick transfer. It's usually going to be a, here's the education and certifications that you need to pursue to get to that point. And we're with you that whole year.
And that's why you want to start your transition plan 18 months out or a year out from getting out of the military so that you can address those gaps,
Yeah,
right?
so
Certifications or whatever it might be.
everyone is different on what it is that they are looking to get out of that transition. A lot of times we recommend people starting the program about 6 months from their transition so that they can have the conversations, resume, and everything. And we'll look at that in a second. If you are someone that needs a little bit more help figuring out what the pathway looks like, getting started on college and everything else, then yes, give yourself that room and space. For younger enlisted people, we definitely encourage them to start a little sooner because they're going to need a lot more help getting a preparation for a plan, having that set up, moving into coursework and everything else. So it really depends on what you want to do. And we've even had people use their mentorship to pursue a doctorate. So that's really just everyone's in a different space.
Well, and another thing I talk about is networking. The further we get away from uniform, the more we want to engage those in uniform.
Yeah.
And so while you're still in uniform is when you should be building your LinkedIn profile, building those connections with companies that interest you, industries, or people that served in the same sand or water or whatever that you did.
Yeah.
Find that commonality.
Absolutely. In order to be eligible for our program, you have to have at least 180 days post 9 or pre 9/11 or post 9/11. There we go. I got it. After 9/11, 180 days. There you go. It's on the screen, even if I'm messing it up. So you can see that. And then we also serve active duty military spouses, the spouses of disabled veterans, and then Gold Star spouses. When a spouse applies, it's a drop-down menu so they can select which one of those works for their eligibility. We don't ask further questions. We're not going to like go into your personal life so much. You just have to let us know that you qualify based on one of those points. Once you get started, the application, there's going to be a QR code so you can grab it if you want. And there's going to be a person calling you within a day saying, hey, one business day. So if it's over the weekend, we're going to wait a second. But if it's a business day, we're going to reach out to you within one business day to say, I see that you applied. Do you have any questions? We're sending you a career assessment. It takes 2 minutes to fill out. And it's just to give us an idea of what you want to focus on in your mentorship. And then we have a call with you. That call is super important because we want to find out what's important to you. Do you want to work with a mentor who's the same gender, the same ethnicity, the same former service? Like all of those things are important to find out. So when we match you with someone, you have a great relationship. A lot of our pairs stay in touch after the year. So we want to make sure that this person is someone that you're going to be able to rely on after the year is over. And then we get to help you the whole year.
You know, the first message that came in when you got on camera was ACP matched me with one of the best mentors ever 5 years ago. She's a lifelong staple. I'm going through the application process for another round as my trajectory changed. Love you guys.
Awesome. And that's on a case-by-case basis. We typically only offer one mentorship per participant. So we will take into consideration all of your life fluctuations whenever you apply for the program again. But absolutely. Once you launch, this is what the average mentorship looks like. If you're doing small business, it's going to look different, but for most people, they're looking for a job. So we are there the entire year. And this is where it's truly unique because I know when I left the service, I got about 50 pamphlets for things that could help me now or in the future. And it's not that that's bad. I think that that is wonderful that there's so many resources, but it's overwhelming and you're not sure which ones apply, right? So we never tell you you can only use one. And then just like the Winnie Warrior Project, we're going to encourage you to use as many resources as possible. If you get to resume review and you're not sure what to do, we will send you templates. We'll send you resources. Anything you need throughout the year, it's like having a concierge service in the background. If things change and your goals change, because again, we don't know what we want to be when we grow up, that is okay. It happens. I had a pair that started for marketing and around month 3, she said, I don't want to do marketing. I want to do engineering. Wildly different trajectory, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we can do that. Her mentor and her had a great relationship, and we want to keep you with the same person all year because, again, we're building that relationship. She continued to work with her on interviewing, resume, networking, and they were having a great time with that. But we also provide one-time information calls with other mentors. This is a great networking tool, but for her, it was specifically helpful because she wanted to figure out what kind of engineer she wanted to be. So she got to talk to a couple of different people about what their daily duties look like, what work-life balance looks like, and have that discussion so she could really hone in on what she wanted to pursue with her education. So those information calls are great, not only for what education you want to pursue, if you're interested in more than one career area, if you want to talk to people, because 80% of our proteges are not local to their mentor, so you're going to have a long distance conversation. But if you want to talk to a mentor in your local area, we can go ahead and set up an information call for that too. But that being said, those information calls are one-time calls, and that's just to help augment what your mentor can't already provide, right? If you get to month 6 and you have a job lined up, totally fine. That doesn't mean we want to quit the mentorship. We only typically offer, like I said, one. So we want to make sure you get the most out of it. And we're going to shift focus. We're going to look at performance reviews, promotions, career planning, work-life balance. So when you leave us, you have the best possible stepping off point. We want to make sure you're set up for success because the support you get from us ends at a year. We had a plethora of people coming in who were interested in small business. When that happens and you give us feedback that, hey, you didn't really have the support that we needed, enough people said that, we created a whole new program. And that is specifically to help people who are interested in starting those small businesses. On top of your mentorship that you get for a year, you can also join the Village, where you have access. All those corporate partners have put in different courses on starting a small business, business planning, financing, growth, development, marketing, whatever it is you need, you can go ahead in there and take those courses at your own leisure. There are webinars with people who own their small businesses, and there is a group or a village, it's called the Village, of people who are there that own small businesses to answer your questions. So you can already just go in there. And because it's all people who are vetted through our program, you don't have to worry about it being like a weird spam bot randomness answer. It'll be actual people responding to the questions that you have, which is great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sign up for that Village.
Yeah, and that doesn't end at your year. So that access remains afterwards. You can keep that as long as you want. Any questions? This is the link. I'll leave it up there. And then otherwise.
No, that was really helpful, and again, going back to, I think our main talking point is that you want to start networking now. You want to start moving forward now.
Yeah.
And reach out to as many people that you served with in the past, leaders, people in industry that you admire, and start engaging those people. So no, that was great. I don't see any questions here right now, but again, we'll circle back if that happens. Thank you so much, Victoria. American Corporate Partners, I highly recommend reaching out to ACP and seeing what they have to offer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, next up, we're getting down and dirty. Pat, you're up. Pat Hubble of Candorful. You may not know of Candorful, but what I really like is their impact. That you have hiring authorities that want to help you understand your place in corporate America and win the right job. So before I take too much away from Pat and her presentation, we're going to talk about interview prep and follow-up. And Pat, thanks again for spending a few minutes with our audience. She's currently working on The Beauty of Technology, which is where did that mute button go? Where did that mute button go?
The issue is I have 17,000 documents open on my desktop, and I had them all lined up. So I click on the rate thing, and then I thought LinkedIn went before us, and so I started working on something else. And so this is a lesson for everybody, because there's always a lesson that it is incredibly important to be a little bit more prepared than I was, and to also, when things don't go well, stay calm and make fun of yourself, and all will be good, right? So so bear with me while I just get my slides shared, and then we'll go, and I won't be looking weirdly stretching. Are you able to see my slides?
Yes.
All right. I love that I'm going right after ACP. We are incredibly good friends with ACP, so thank you so much, Victoria. I sent you a LinkedIn invite. So we're another 501c3. We are providing job interview prep and practice to transitioning military veterans, military spouses, Guard and Reserve. And I'm going to do a really fast trip through what Candorful is and what it isn't. But what I really want to impress upon the group here is that even though I'm going to teach you some things, some hands-on, maybe not hands-on, but some intellectual thinking about job interview prep, what I want you to keep in mind is there is nothing that compares with actual experiential job interview prep. So while I'm going to teach you things, what I really want you to do is to sign up for practicing interviews with Candorful. There is no comparison. All right. So with that, our mission, as I mentioned, is to connect all of you who are interested with a community of volunteer interview coaches from industry. So we have people that are coaching that are from PwC, from Amazon, from Oracle, from Dell, and a lot of other companies that give up time during their work week. They are experienced doing interviews. They are hiring managers so that they know what a good interview is. They know what a bad interview is, and they're going to give you the feedback that an organization is unlikely to give you for fear of liability reasons. So you're going to get real feedback both in writing and and verbally. This is a picture of what you should expect. This is Liesl, who did a series of interviews with us about 2 years ago. She's now, I believe, with JP Morgan, although I have to double check on that. So it's just everything is done video conferencing. That gets you ready for doing interviews. Video conferencing, it also means our 130 coaches from across the country can meet you wherever you are, even if you are still deployed outside the country. So easy to do, easy to access, and skipping a few slides for speed. So I'm going to pause on this slide. So again, the most important thing you can do is to sign up and actually practice with Candorful. And this is how you're going to do it. You go to candorful.org. I know it's a weird word, but it means full of honesty, because we want to be honest with how you're doing so you get true feedback. So candorful.org. At the top of the screen, there is a Get Started tab. It is circled in red and the bottom left of this screen. And then you're going to choose military community. Don't choose career transition, or go right into military community, and then schedule one 30-minute intake, just one 30-minute intake. After that, we'll run the intake, the meeting with you, which will get you psyched and ready, and then we'll get you the information to schedule at least 3 practice interviews. Each of them are an hour long. So do a 30-minute intake with us, then we'll tell you how to schedule 3 interviews. Do not go in and schedule 3 intakes, all right? One 30-minute intake, then we'll tell you how to schedule interviews, and then you're going to practice. So that's how you schedule with us. And with that, I'm going to do a time check. Okay, so
Pat,
there
real
is
quick,
the date.
Go ahead. I wanted to say, about those 3 practice interviews, what's so important is what I've noticed is when you're in uniform, you're training to be the best version of yourself that's needed in that moment in uniform. And then when you come out, that confidence drops because you're kind of in that imposter syndrome moment. And the confidence that comes through mock interviews, practice interviews, I can't be overstated. Like, those aren't just to help you win the interview. That's also to help you feel confident and truly internalize what you've already accomplished. It's a big, big deal. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, perfect. I love it. If you looked at the second to last stat here, I'm a big geek and I love numbers. 99.3% of our candidates that respond to our outreach, we do a ton of outreach, confirm that confidence and skills have increased after completing the Candorful process. And that's what we're going for, because you said it right. Skills are one thing. You need to learn the skills to interview. It's not exactly what you've been doing before, but then having the confidence to walk in and think on your feet and be able to kind of respond with flexibility is really important. So, all right, so moving along with that. So let me talk to you about the job interview mindset. So I want everybody to take a big, deep breath. I'm going to try to slow down, even though I'm going to be doing this fast. So I'm going to slow down because I speak really fast. But I want you're going to be absorbing actual intellectual information now. So take a deep breath, literally. Don't make fun of me, or you can make fun of me quietly on your side, but take a deep breath and then let's start listening. So, currently right now, we are actually at Candorful. We're a very tiny internal team. We're actually in the process of hiring an executive director. And some of the things that were said by the previous 2 speakers resonated entirely with me, because I'm getting resumes from people that are just not even related, or apparently not related to anything that we asked for in the job description. So what you really need to do is think about the mindset of the interviewer. What does the interviewer want? Now, I know that's hard. It's like trying to figure out what your spouse wants when you're having a fight, right? It's just really, really hard to get in their head. But you do need to do that work, because if not, you're expecting them to do the work to figure out where the match is. And no hiring manager wants to take the time to figure out why you fit. You just end up not being qualified if you haven't communicated what it is. So how will you add the most value to my organization is what you need to be bringing forth in resumes and in job interviews and in every networking conversation. So the other piece of this is how you're Go ahead.
Pat, can I jump in one more time?
Yes.
Um, that can't be is somebody that gets engagement all the time. You know, if you're reaching out to somebody looking for assistance or help, you want to be informative and you want to make sure it's as easy as possible for them to respond. So we're going to get into the interview follow-up and all that, but what you're talking about of making that supervisor's job easier, making it able to them to understand the value that you present, 100% it's on you.
And the thing is, it's very taxing to do this, because you have to read all the job descriptions, and not only read it but internalize it. You have to go on the website and really learn what the company is about. You have to try to network with people that you don't even know yet to learn about what's going on in the company and what might be happening. But the alternative is, if you're relying on somebody else to just, you know, take the benefit of the doubt and read through 1,000 resumes and hope that they pick out yours, which doesn't show any relationship, you've just lost the battle right away. So it's a lot of work, but you've got to do it if you want the job. So the other piece is you have to demonstrate that you are the best person for the job in the way you communicate. So in our current job search, I wrote the job description, and I say, send a cover letter describing your connection with the requirements of this job. About 2/3 of the people didn't send a cover letter. And of the people that did send a cover letter, I'd say 1 or 2 actually followed what I said and told me what I wanted to hear, which was how they were related or how they could close the gap because they wanted the job. So, you know, already most of the people just are singled out. Okay.
Yeah.
So they need to communicate that. Go ahead.
I was going to say too, like, remember that hiring manager or that HR representative, they're seeing a lot of resumes, a lot of emails, a lot of what we say internally here is every interaction is an interview. So if you're the one that's always doing what you've been asked to do on time, on target, on task, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt more than the one that has the perfect resume that delivers late or off script. That leader is looking for not just the right experience, the right human.
But it's both things. And you have to make it clear that you've got the experience, because people are not going to go out and research you. They don't have the time. By the way, one of the most boring tasks, you're not going to like hearing this, one of the most boring tasks that exists is reading resumes. So that resume that you spent a ton of time making perfect may not get read because there's something about it that you were too far deep in the pile, or you didn't make that connection. I know that's depressing, but you have to write the resume in such a way that it is comfortable to read. And for us, it's a little bit different than perhaps federal jobs. For us, I know as an organization that works in career transition and interviews, if someone's sending me a 4-page resume, they're already done because they don't know anything about our field, right? So you've got to really kind of get to know the field. All right, so moving along, let's talk about the old mindset and the new mindset. And like some of my colleagues on this call today, I'm not a veteran, I'm not a military spouse. I have worked with a lot of veterans, and I have worked in career services. More than that, I've looked for a lot of jobs. And this comes from a tremendous amount of experience in all those different areas. So your old mindset might be that you don't like to talk about accomplishment. It seems arrogant. That's very much the military culture. By the way, who doesn't want to work with someone like that? I don't want to work with arrogant people. So keep that about yourself. However, think about this in the job search. If you do not share the value you bring, then you are not sharing the data to be hired. Now, people will say to me, but I already talked about that in my resume. Okay, remember what I said about the resume. Yes, it's a beautiful document, and it will get read at some point if you make it through the various phases. But the person that is interviewing you may have forgotten what was on there because they've read so many resumes. They may have read it last Friday and today is Tuesday, and they've forgotten, or they may not have read it. I'm sorry to say that. So you need to, when interviewing or interacting with people, you need to be conveying data to make sure that they understand what it is. Likewise, in the past, you might have thought about how what the team brings is most important, and it still is. But if you do not share what you did, they're not hiring the team. So you need to be talking in terms of I most of the time, maybe not all the time, but most of the time. Or if you talk about we all the time, for all they know, you brought coffee to the meetings. So, and that's nothing wrong with that. I love a good cup of coffee, but they need to understand what you did is going to fit with what they need. I've heard a,
Sorry,
ahead.
one more. It's the I versus we. Ah, so many times I've seen a servant leader, right? They say, "Hey, Pat, tell me about a time you had your team do this." And you go, "Well, we," because you're a servant leader and you don't want to take that. So if somebody's asking you a question in the singular, you want to answer in the singular. I
Absolutely. And you can, like, especially as you start to do this, when you hear yourself say we, you can continue your answer and then say my role in this was. So you can make that transition. And if you are uncomfortable, if it was a team activity, you can describe what the team did, but make sure the context of what you did is very clear as part of that conversation. I don't want to take up too much of my time, so I'm going to go through this real quickly. That there's no negative or positive to being a veteran or military spouse in the job search. I'm sorry about that. That might not make you happy. There is negative and there is positive if you can explain the alignment between what you did as a veteran or military spouse that is valuable to the organization. So I've had some people say, I know it's terribly hard for veterans to get jobs or military spouses. Nobody wants to hire them, which is just so wrong. It's just not true. And I've had people say, I know I'm going to get a job because people appreciate veterans and military spouses. I love that, except that that is not the right approach either. So you need to think about back to that fit and showing value slide with the puzzle piece. That's really where it comes in. You are valuable, but you have to be able to make it clear to the person who's listening. Think about it also that an interview is not a single event. It is a journey that you need to prepare for. So practice is the right way to do that. So the three parts of the interview are really elevator pitch. And that's where you talk about what you've done in relationship to the role that is coming up, including what your education is. A lot of military leave that out. And you talk about things that you're passionate about as well. This is bringing data forward. And I know I'm going through these fast. I don't have a lot of time. Also, most of you have probably heard of STAR. That is the way to structure your answers in a behavioral interview question. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult person. You want to be making sure you talk about the situation and task that was ahead, the action that you took, and the result you achieved. That's how you avoid rambling. It's how you avoid skipping important parts of the process.
one last, I'm jumping in. Sorry, I got to do this one. The star. Anytime somebody asks you about a time you failed, right? One of those pitfall questions, you add an L to the star. Situation, task, action, result, and then what you learned from that failure. Okay.
Or another way to look at it is a check mark. So you talk about what happened and you admit the problem, but then you start moving up the back end or the high end of the check mark in a positive, and that's the learned feature. And that's kind of a way to think about the amount of time spent on each piece of it. And that's same with tell me about your greatest weakness as well. Okay, so we're gonna, again, I'm bouncing through this. So real quick, and I'm not gonna read all these. I'm just gonna put these up there, and I don't like people copying the slides because I'm always afraid that people won't practice their interviews. But go ahead, grab your phones, and please take a quick snap of this one. Do ask questions. Have more than you need in your notebook so that you're ready to ask a lot of questions. You don't have to ask them all, but what you don't want to do is run out of questions because they've answered a bunch of stuff along the way. Do ask about their experience with the company. Don't ask things that are easily Google searched. Avoid touchy topics. Please avoid politics. It's just you're going to isolate 47% or 53% of the market if you talk politics right now in the past 10 years. So just don't do it, right? Unless your job is somehow related to that. And don't ask questions that sound desperate, like, did I get the job? There are better ways to ask questions and tons of articles out there. And just before I stop and let you guys ask questions, make sure you send thank yous. Attention to detail is so important. And I'll tell you again, we are looking for an executive director, and I am watching every single piece of this. And again, because we are in career services related field, if people aren't doing it right, I know that they can't lead our organization, right? So attention to detail is really important. So make sure you send emails. That's the best way to do it. I say 4 to 24 hours afterwards. The reason I say 4, minimum of 4, is don't go out to the car after an interview, write on your phone a really quick thank you. You're going to make a mistake and it's going to make things look bad. Get home, take a deep breath, have a cup of chamomile tea to calm down, whatever your version is, and then write the email and then move away from it for a while before sending it out. And then go back at least an hour later, if not longer, and read it out loud to yourself. Don't read it to read it to find mistakes. Read each single word. You're going to find mistakes. So, and I would do it within 24 hours. Some people say not to do it over the weekend. If you have a Friday interview, wait till Monday. I see people doing that. Personally, I'm always checking my emails, but maybe that's just me.
Or you might get a hiring manager that's not actually really crazy busy on a Saturday or Sunday.
Right? You never know. So I'll leave that business day versus regular day piece for you guys to decide. But that's it. I want you to come to Candorful and practice interviews. Don't wait till the last minute. You won't have the right mindset to absorb the suggestions and feedback. I personally think if you're 6 months out, now is a great time. You can always circle back and come through again. So why not do it earlier and kind of get the rust off and get ready to go? And if for some reason you want to come back, you come back. If you're doing it the day before, we're not going to be able to match you with a volunteer the day before. If you're doing it a week before, it's going to be tight, really tight and stressful for you.
Yeah, no, this is extremely informative. I really appreciate, right? You want to memorize, internalize, and personalize your experience. And that's what those mock interviews, those practice interviews do. So thank you so much. Is this a final?
I just want to make one other point. We're talking about networking. I think networking is one of the most ambiguous and difficult things to get your head around. Please get yourself a copy of the 2-Hour Job Search by Steve Dalton. I was looking for, there it is. It is an excellent resource for learning what networking really is. It is like $10.75 on Amazon. I would not do Audible. I would not do Kindle. I would read the book cover to cover and tab it up. There will be a huge difference in your success if you're networking right. And networking right is everybody says to network, but nobody tells you how to do it.
I know. Right?
So read this book.
Well, that's great. No, I'm going to check that out too after this. So thank you again, Pat from Candorful. We're going to move on to the next expert, but really appreciate all.
My pleasure. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Now we get to bring on Jahida, who is not only a LinkedIn recruiting expert, she is also Veteran Hiring Solutions representative.
That's right.
So she's been taking care of us for a while as we're growing up into larger opportunities. But she comes from the staffing world, and she's been at LinkedIn helping staffing organizations grow. So she has a unique experience in this space. So Jahida, thanks again for your willingness to put yourself out there, and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
No, thank you, Justin. You pretty much gave my introduction. So, but yes, I am a senior account director with LinkedIn. I've been with LinkedIn for over 8 years now, and VHS is my client. And prior to that, I have extensive experience working in the staffing industry and working for public companies such as City of New York, as well as privately owned companies like A&E Networks and NYU Langone. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get into it. Do you see my screen now? Yep, you're good? All right, awesome. Okay, so before we dive in, let me give you a better idea of what you can expect from my session. So first, we're going to just talk about why LinkedIn. Then we'll walk through best practices for your profile and how best to tell your unique story. Then we'll navigate over to the LinkedIn platform to show you how you can run a job search and set up job search alerts to get notified of relevant openings. And then I'll quickly go through some of the resources that will be sent to you after this call, and hopefully we have time for Q&A, but I'll remain on the call if you prefer to send it via chat. All right, so let's transition over to why LinkedIn. Just to echo what Jen and Victoria mentioned, networking is extremely important, and LinkedIn is an amazing platform to do just that. Remember, you are in a unique niche of veteran professionals that can help you navigate your transition. You can also connect with recruiters and professionals in industries you're interested in. LinkedIn is also a great place to proactively search and apply to current job openings, but we also offer products that allow recruiters from staffing firms and corporations to tap into this network of qualified candidates. And it's a great way for veterans to highlight how their military experience translates into leadership, problem solving, and technical skills that are relevant to civilian jobs. Lastly, LinkedIn offers courses, mentorship programs, and veteran-focused job opportunities. Let's quickly take a look at the economic graph. So while there are over 1 billion members on the LinkedIn platform, globally, there are more than 3 million veteran members on the platform in the US alone, and many of them are hiring managers. In addition, we have more than 63 million companies featured on the platform with millions of job openings today. LinkedIn offers a vast array of skills that members can add to their profiles, including many of your MOSs that reflect your unique military experience. So let's jump into the profile. So whether you're at the early stages of creating or revamping your profile, think of it less as a resume and more as a digital portfolio that represents you and tells your professional story. And that does start with a photo. While you have the option to include a profile photo, adding a LinkedIn photo makes your profile more engaging, and it also builds trust and credibility, and people are more likely to view and message you about your opportunities. It does not have to be a professional photo, but it is recommended that the photo is just of you and in high resolution. So next up is adding your name pronunciation. Again, this is optional, but if you have a unique or difficult to pronounce name like mine, and Justin told me, or I think Deborah told me you were practicing before this, so you did.
We might have.
Thank you. So LinkedIn now offers a feature that allows you to record your name. This can be especially helpful for anyone preparing to call you or introduce you to an audience. Just keep in mind that this feature is only available on the mobile app, which you can download for free. So another new and exciting feature recently rolled out to the LinkedIn mobile app is the ability to create a profile video. This is where you can bring your profile to life with a short 30-second video introducing yourself. And some of the features that come with this is that viewers can follow or message you directly from your profile video. With new analytics, you can see how many people have viewed your video. This is also a great way to stand out, as a new blue ring will appear around your profile photo within the feed and recruiter search results. If you need inspiration, check out the new prompts we've added as you start the process. Now let's talk about your headline. Here's where you can get creative. Think of it as a slogan that defines you and your professional experience. We also recommend that you add your veteran status so recruiters and other veteran members can find you easily. Then there is the About section. This is where you would add your summary. You can think of it as the elevator pitch. I think Pat had mentioned this earlier. This is where you can highlight your unique talents and how you want to contribute. Keep it short and sweet. No need to list all the career accomplishments because LinkedIn has an experience section for that. And that leads me to that experience section. And this is where you have the opportunity to talk about what you did in each role you've had in your career and showcase the impact you had at each organization. A tip here is to write in short paragraph form rather than bullets. Remember, this is not your resume, right? It's your brand, it's your background. If you've worked at a startup company or a smaller company that isn't as well known, give a brief description to the company before detailing your experience. Now, next is the skills section. I feel like this is very important, like I had mentioned before. This is really where you're going to showcase what you're great at. Remember, I mentioned there are over 41,000 skills to choose from, including MOSs, right? So adding at least 5 or more skills can get you up to 17 times more profile views. In addition, recruiters and other networking professionals search key skills across LinkedIn. So it's another great way to be found by your network. So if you're ready to explore new opportunities, LinkedIn has this great feature that allows you to set your job preferences and let recruiters and your network know you are open to work. So there are 2 ways I want to share that you can share with your community. You can share this with all LinkedIn members where you will automatically have the green #OpenToWork stripe around your profile photo. You may have seen that if you've been on the network. Or you can share your status privately to only recruiters outside of your present employment. You'll also have the ability to specify the job title you're searching for, pinpoint locations you're interested in, and even select your job type. So if you prefer full-time remote or even contract, or even all of the above, you can add that. Lastly, for your profile, just make sure you add or update your location, education, any publications you have authored, and any honors or awards that you have received. All right, so we can go ahead and transition over to running a job search right on the platform. So let me just exit out.
Jahida, one question for you.
Sure thing.
The on your does commenting and posting do anything for job search? Like, does it make you more visible to recruiters, or is it, hey, it's a way for them to kind of get to know you?
Yeah, so there's a few ways you can do this. Like if you're just in the beginning stages of creating your profile, the first thing you want to do is start connecting. And I would definitely seek out other veterans. That's why one of the reasons, you know, it's good to put it right in that tagline. As you're connecting with individuals, and even think of past colleagues, even your friends, right? Family members. As you're posting content, whether it's something uniquely about you, or maybe you found an interesting article, as you're posting, it's going to appear in your network's feed. In addition, if you want to have a broader reach, we have hashtags. So whatever it is that you're posting about, you can include hashtags, and this is going to give you even a wider reach. Like I would suggest maybe putting hashtag, you know, military, hashtag veterans, just because usually that's a community out there that looks at these posts.
Yeah, we saw hashtag military transition, veteran transition are two top tags to follow.
Perfect. And by the way, you could even start a search by putting hashtag exactly that and hitting enter, and it'll pop up some posts so that you can see who's posting, and maybe you want to start connecting with them through there. So I'm currently, and you see my screen, is this okay view?
Yep.
Okay.
Your profile.
I'm on my LinkedIn feed here, and at the very top, so if you're proactively searching for jobs, you can go ahead and just click on this jobs icon. And here you'll have this search box here where you can literally just put a title. So I'm just going to put account director, and I already have it up. So I'm just going to bring this up here. Let me just shut it down so I can show you exactly how you can run. So once you press enter, you put it the location, it's going to open up additional filters for you. So I would suggest just play around and familiarize yourself. But to someone's point that posted a question regarding, you know, all these opportunities, and you see how many applicants, you can actually set up alerts so that, or view opportunities that were posted in the past 24 hours, right? Where there are likely less applicants. You can also just refine your search by selecting your experience level, even your salary. Let's say there are a list of companies that you really would love to work with, and you want to receive alerts when they post. You can actually compile this list just by entering the company name. Again, you can be very specific if you are open to all of the above, or hybrid, or just remote. And again, here are all the filters that you can work off of. So once you've filled out exactly what you're looking for, you can toggle right over here and set up a search alert. Keep in mind, you can actually set up multiple alerts. So maybe you want to compile a list of companies you would love to work for that you know typically hire veterans. That could be one search alert. Maybe it's a generic one where, you know, it's all relevant to your skills or your background. But just know that once you set this alert, you will receive notification of new opportunities that come your way.
I didn't realize you had those different options. That's neat.
I think we need a refresher training.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Hopefully I'm not looking for a job soon.
Oh, it's not even for that. I mean, I'm sure you're looking for clients, right?
That's what I just wrote down, by the way. That's what I wrote down.
Oh, okay, cool.
Great minds think. I love it.
And one thing I also want to add, there is a way where you can attach your resume. We recognize that a lot of folks are mobile. So if you're on the train or you're taking a walk, you are able to apply very easily. We have what's also called Easy Apply. You may notice here's one that states it's Easy Apply. We try to make it very simple for people to apply. So when you click in the Easy Apply, it'll collect your information from your profile. You hit next, there's my resume, hit next, it's going to say a few things. Sometimes they ask a bunch of questions. I am just going to put random stuff in here. Oh, it has to be a number.
Lisa Ducharme.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry about that. That was my.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so sometimes they'll have questions, but typically very little that you have to type in. And then once you hit submit, the application is sent over. And you will get a notification so you can keep track of all the applications you have sent in. So just a little trick there, just to simplify. There's also a filter where if you want to look at only positions that have the Easy Apply, especially if you are on the road. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to show you, let me just navigate here. Okay, so here are some of the resources that will be sent over. I have a link here if you want to just do a one-pager to kind of rock your profile is what we call it. Also, we are offering a free year of premium license to anyone that is active duty, also veterans, military spouses, veteran affair and caregivers. And also you'll be getting the LinkedIn Learning platform. I included a link here for tips to network on LinkedIn. And then here are some self-paced learning modules that come with that premium subscription. This is really great when looking at optimizing your LinkedIn profile because it is specifically for veterans, and then how to prepare for a job interview.
I love that.
Okay, so this is all available to you for free. You likely will get this after this call.
No, that's great. And I'll tell you, the LinkedIn is where the professionals play. It's easy as that. And you're not going to understand the value of it until you start working inside of it. And not only is it to help today, it can help tomorrow, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The theme you're hearing from me is you want to start networking before you need to exploit it, right? You want to continue to grow and use that as your garden that you're planting seeds on a daily basis. I am all in with LinkedIn. I cannot say enough about the value of that platform. What about the Veteran Opportunity Report? That veteran, you remember that 2023 Veteran Opportunity Report? I think I'll send that out to the people too. It just gives veterans a view of kind of where they are in the space, the data points there. So I'll do that. Is there anything else you want to get across that we haven't covered? I mean, you did a great job down and through it all. You can tell it's not your first presentation.
I do this every day for my clients. So yeah, I just to echo what you said earlier in the call, be sure to go ahead and connect with me. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
No, great. And so LinkedIn, the LinkedIn professional license, that's for any veteran, right? That's something LinkedIn does for veterans.
Are you speaking of the premium license?
Yeah, is that what
that's specifically for veterans? Absolutely. So we're offering that for free for a year, and it also comes, so it gives you the capability of searching the network further than your third degree connections. So you'll be able to even study profiles, right? So if you're trying to figure out or kind of get an appetite on how you want to build your profile, you can look at other people's profiles, right? To kind of get you started.
Well, find common traits, commonalities, maybe
correct.
Same units, same base.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes
same college.
I even do this also for my background. Sometimes I forget all the skill. I mean, we don't have the list available of all the skills that you can pick from. So it helps, right, to build out that skill section, because again, this is how recruiters find you. And the platform that VHS uses through us, we actually have a specific filter to look for veterans. So again, this platform really wants to help you get succeed, essentially.
Yeah, you have the ability to look further, and also what we talk about too is that, LinkedIn is such a great way just to understand your value. Reaching out to other veterans that had the same MOS as you or billet, and learning from them. And then I think I said it earlier, when you are communicating on LinkedIn and you're communicating to other people looking for advice and development, you want to be transparent, and you want to be open, and you want to make it easy for them to reply back to you. You don't want to say, I'm looking for work. Hey, got a job? Hey, don't make them do all the work. I love to help and I want to help. And those that make it easier for me to help, I help. Those that throw stuff at me, I just don't have the time. And so
that's a really good point, Justin. Yeah, I mean, look for those commonalities when you're running your search. Maybe you went to the same school, you worked at similar companies, or look for those commonalities to add in your messaging so that you get those replies and connections.
Great. Well, hey, thanks a lot. I just got the second text that we got to move on to the next one. But I appreciate you so much. And again, look her up, connect with her. She is a wealth of knowledge. Thanks, Jida. All right, Lisa, you're up. This is what I love about Lisa is she's a straight shooter. She has a wealth of knowledge, and she's not afraid to share it. And it's pure passion. I can't say enough about you and the impact you've made on veteran hiring solutions with us, and specifically with Deborah and your mentorship of her. And so I truly, truly appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your wisdom today. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm Lisa Ducharme, retired Air Force veteran, retired 18 years ago. I am the daughter of a retired Air Force veteran, Vietnam veteran. I've been doing outreach for the last 15 years and working with veteran businesses for the last 10 years. You are going to get these slides. I'm not going to go slide by slide. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you each slide, tell you the value of each slide, and then I'm coming back on because I want to have a face-to-face conversation in reference to entrepreneurship and what you really should and should not be thinking about. I will tell you that if you would have told me when I retired 18 years ago that I would have anything to do with entrepreneurship, I'm going to tell you you were on drugs. I did not get involved in entrepreneurship until I got laid off from a job back in 2012. And that is how my journey to entrepreneurship began. We're really going to cover, because I only have 10 minutes, we're really going to cover the question, is entrepreneurship right for you? I've given you a list of resources and organizations you can use. Every Wednesday morning, we have a virtual morning mission coffee hour in which you can jump on, ask a question, and jump right off, or stay for the full hour. It's 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The resources down here are important, but one thing I will tell everybody, actnoweducation.org. That is a resource every veteran and military spouse should know about. And the reason I say that is because you get free courses and you get free certifications, unlimited, going through actnoweducation.org. Plus, they have a list of over 40,000 resources. On that list, you click and it goes to other resources. That's how they total 40,000. But the key to this one is if you're in the process of transitioning, it has a pretty good checklist for the transitioning veteran, military member. So I do like them. To have a couple of challenges, but ultimately they're a very good resource. But you are going to get this PDF with this. You really need to worry if you're thinking about starting a business, start networking now while you're in the process. Then there's a bunch of entrepreneurship training, because everybody says to me, Lisa, where do I go and what do I do? So I've given you a variety of entrepreneurship education and training.
Yeah.
So you are going to get this slide. I've already emailed it to Deborah. But one thing I will tell you, one of the advantages of either A, separating from the military, B, thinking about switching careers and going into entrepreneurship, is the fact that you have this ability at this moment in time to say, I can pivot. I can actually look at starting a business, and there are resources out there to help you. But your why has to be solid. And what I mean by that is you can't say, I want to start a business because I don't like my job, because that's not going to get you where you need to go. Starting a business is hard, and I don't care how simple it may seem. Let's say you have a hobby, and the perfect example is somebody who has a hobby in woodworking, and they make all this beautiful chairs and things like that. But they do it as a hobby. Well, when they start doing it as a business and start working towards making money, that no longer becomes relaxing. That no longer becomes fun for them. And that's where the challenge is, because that's one important thing I can't stress, is how difficult it is to go from hobby to business if the hobby is your relaxation point. If that's your stress release, then you don't want to take that hobby into a business. Your why is the one that's going to say, I want to start a business because I have something nobody else has. I can do something nobody else can do. I really want to provide a legacy for my family. That's not strong enough. I need an additional piece to that, because you can start a legacy for your family doing anything. There's no resources available for veterans. Please do not start a business with resources to veterans, because that will make me hyperventilate. We have lots of great resources for veterans. We have places veterans can put their business information on. So let's say you're already a business owner, or you've already started your business. If you don't have your information up at Rosie Network or the Rosie List, or you don't have your information on the Institute for Veteran and Military Families by veteran page or veteran page, then you clearly need to get it on there, because you want people to know who you are. Then what you want to do is you want to think, okay, I have a service I want to offer, and I'm going to use consultant, because I will tell you 7 out of 10 businesses I talk to say they want to start either a consulting or a coaching business. If you're thinking about starting a coaching or a consultant business, I want to see you are a subject matter expert. If you go look out at my LinkedIn page, the one thing you will see is I am a subject matter expert on business. You look at my LinkedIn page, it's going to show you that. I'm going to show you that the way I'm going to work with you. So I can show that I'm a subject matter expert. I've written a book. I can show you I'm a subject matter expert. So make sure you can show you are a subject matter expert in whatever it is you do. Start doing it now. If you haven't written any articles, write some articles. If you haven't filled out your LinkedIn page to make it look really good and filled out every section of the LinkedIn page, go out and fill out. Take the time to do it. If you don't have that cover photo on your LinkedIn page, get that out there. If you are in business or are thinking about getting in business, that's some of the things that I want you to do. As I said, one of the things for me was I would have never thought about starting a business. Every state has a veteran service officer. Now, we have organizations like the Veteran Business Outreach Centers. If you want to think about starting a business, jump on my morning mission coffee hour every Wednesday morning. Send me an email, send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll answer any questions that you have, because it's something, I am one of a handful of subject matter experts in reference to veteran businesses. There are not many of us out there. So do a self-assessment. Think about, what's my passion? Why do I want to start this business? What problem am I solving? Is somebody else solving the problem? If somebody else is solving the problem, what are you doing better than that person? I'm going to use me as an example. I established the Massachusetts Veterans Chamber of Commerce. There were 22 of us throughout the United States, to include a military spouse chamber of commerce. And I started it because I'm one of a handful of veteran business experts. And the one thing that I know is that we have a bunch of people out there helping our businesses, but they are not focusing on the integration of veterans and our business. They're giving you the same training that they're giving everybody else. And that leaves us out in a little bit of a lurch because we are uniquely different. I do say I'm special. Sorry, Justin, but I do say I'm special. With veterans, we are special, but I know what you mean. You do not have to have an entrepreneurial mindset in order to start a business. Usually entrepreneurial mindset is somebody who thinks about more than one type of business, but you can have a strong business strength. Our lessons that we learned in the military take us as far as we want to go in business and give us the ability to actually run very, very strong businesses. So I want you to think about that when you're thinking about whether or not you want to start a business.
Yeah,
Also,
and those Wednesdays, I'll tell you real quick, those Wednesdays at 7 were life-changing for Deborah, really. And coming in and having a group of supportive entrepreneurs is really unique and special. I'll tell you that. I highly recommend it.
and it is true. You know, how often can you pop in and ask a question? I also give a checklist every Wednesday morning. This morning was a perfect example. People popped on and nobody had a single question. So we went over the checklist, which happened to be about perception and business. And I used the example of The Founder, the TV show, or the movie. So what I want everybody to realize is that starting a business is hard. You're not doing it alone. As veterans, we continually fail to ask for help. I was at the top of the list. So reach out to somebody because you don't have to do it alone. Reach out to me, whether you're in Massachusetts or not. It doesn't faze me. I work with businesses throughout the United States. And it doesn't cost you anything to go to one of your veteran chambers. They're free for you. Reach out to the Small Business Development Center. That's free. Ask, throw your idea on the wall. Get an IBIS World Report. Now, I did not mention that in that PowerPoint because that's farther down the road. That's when you've already established and decided that you want a business. So when you're at that point, let me know. Just know that you can get anywhere you want to be, and we can do the best businesses that we can possibly do because we are that good as veterans and actually military spouses. As we always say, the family serves too. That's the reality of it all. And since the family serve too, we do have resources for like I said, we've got the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce who actually has a special certification for military spouses.
Well, and I was just at IVMF, Institute for Veterans and Military Families. They had their entrepreneur event in Dallas last week.
Yep.
400 veteran business owners there. And what makes us so special is it wasn't a bunch of, hey, I'm a superstar, look at my Instagram. It was a lot of servant leaders, a lot of people talking about their failures so that you didn't have to go through it. And that's the importance of connecting with Lisa and other veteran entrepreneurs, is that we want to give, we want to help. You know, we don't want you to go through the same failures that we went through.
Yeah. And I will tell you, if you do try to connect with me on LinkedIn, I am one of the ones that do not do, I don't go for quantity, I go for quality. So if I can't, if you want to connect with me, make sure that you put a message in there that says why you're connecting with me. Because if I go through it and don't see that you've identified as a veteran somewhere in your body, I'll send you a message back and let you know that I won't connect with you. So I'm very particular because for me, it's based on quality, not quantity. Quantity means nothing in my world. So think about that. It's a great place for business. There's a lot of business training you can get on LinkedIn, which is free training all over. I give you 3 places to get training on that slide presentation. Okay, my time is up.
No, thanks. Again, down and dirty. That's what we're doing, right? We're getting out the knowledge so that they can refer to it later too. All right, Lisa, thank you so much. I'm sure we could talk for hours, but I really appreciate your time. And I'm going to give Ned his moment as well. And You know, what I love about the Headstrong Project, Ned's an Army veteran. He was in the staffing industry for over a decade, so he understands intimately the struggles that both veterans have trying to find the right job and that hiring managers have trying to find the right veteran. And so he's been at Headstrong for just over about a year now. And, really for me, part of the importance of veteran hiring solutions, we understand those first 6 months out of transition are so important. How do you transition your purpose out of uniform into your next stage of life? And, for my word of advice, I tell everybody getting out, no hanging out in the garage at night. There's no hanging out in the garage at night by yourself. All right. Go find support. Be brave enough to raise that right hand one more time. All right, Ned, stage is yours, bud.
Thanks so much, Justin. And, a lot of you might be wondering, what is an organization like the Headstrong Project doing on with a bunch of other presenters that are talking all about preparing for the workforce, or how do you do better searching for a job? But if you're like one of the over 700,000 veterans in the workforce who already suffer from PTSD, the stress of that search, the stress of that transition can absolutely be a triggering factor for you. So
100%.
So we were invited today to talk a little bit about who is the Headstrong Project, but also to share some additional resources so that, if you are looking for something to make sure that you're in the right headspace as you try to find the right workspace, there are resources out there for you on that front as well. So who is the Headstrong Project? We are a nonprofit that provides expert trauma-focused mental health treatment to veterans and active duty service members. We do this through a concierge level service where we connect veterans to a therapist in their community who gets it and knows how to treat it. Over the last year in 2024, we provided over 44,000 individual therapy sessions, and we are free of charge for military veterans up to 30 sessions. And for family members of veterans within our care can also qualify for an additional 30 sessions through couples and family therapy. A little bit about our network. They are private practice clinical partners. They're specialists in therapy, psychiatric, and neurofeedback, and they're culturally competent. In addition to being specialists in the psychotherapies that work for PTSD treatment, they go through a screening in order to join our network to ensure that they have a level of military cultural competency. In fact, 12% of the clinicians in our network have served themselves. We operate in 17 states and the District of Columbia through in-person and virtual care. And then because through multiple licenses and legislative pacts, we can actually cover all 50 states. So if we have a client in our care who moves for a new job, we're able to continue that care through our network so that they can get the treatment they need to resolve their PTSD. Over the next 5 years, we are intending to add an additional 2 states, and we hope that by the year 2030, we are able to provide PTSD care for veterans across the country. And so, if you yourself are in that spot where you're looking for some help for your PTSD, you can go to our website. There's a connect to care form right there. You can click on that button. It is a self-referral process. You don't have to get a referral from your doctor or the VA. You just go right there. That being said, if you are a spouse that's on this call today and you're saying, oh my goodness, my spouse could definitely use this, it is not a spouse referral process. You have got to convince your spouse to come themselves as the veteran and request care from us. So we are very specific to PTSD. We don't work with the VA. We don't work with insurance companies. So we are completely self-funded through our donors. And because of that, there's a level of confidentiality that really can't be matched. When you come to us, we'll get your information. We will share it with that clinician that we refer you to, and that is it. It never goes anywhere else unless you want to share it. And surprisingly, or maybe I should say not surprisingly, many of the people who come through our care ultimately want to provide testimonials and become ambassadors for us because of the life-changing effect of the treatment they received. Now, trauma is not what you're dealing with, and you have some other issues that you'd like to discuss with somebody, whether it be physical, mental health. We are part of the Veterans Wellness Alliance Veteran Check-in. Wounded Warrior Project is another of their partners. So if you go to their website, veterancheckin.org, they also have a Connect to Care form where one of their care coordinators will reach out to you and discuss whatever the specifics are. And it's kind of like a one-stop shop for veterans and those connected with military veterans to get pointed in the right direction. So oftentimes, I think it's there, you get that. I'll refer back to what Lisa said. There are resources. There are so many resources. Sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly where to go. The veterancheckin.org is one incredible place to kind of make that first step and then get the handoff to the appropriate resources for you. So in a nutshell, that is why I'm here today. And Justin, I hope I helped make up a little bit of time because my presentation was short. But with that, I'm going to say, hey, what questions do we have?
Well, I think the hardest part when you're in that mental state is the first step. How to take the first step. So do you find the easiest path for them to take that first step is to fill out that get connected to care?
So, yes. So our Connect to Care form is literally, who are you? What is your name? How can we get in touch with you? And then we have a free form block where you can tell us whatever you want. Within 24 hours, you're going to be contacted by one of our care coordinators to do that initial intake. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes. We're going to get a baseline. And then from there, we refer you to care. I can go on, but basically our average time to care is 13 days. So it's not like you pick up the phone and call the VA today and say, hey, I'd really like to talk to somebody.
Right.
We all know if you're not suicidal, you're not going to get care quickly. You're going to wait. And the VA is overwhelmed. I've been in the VA healthcare system for over 20 years. I'm still alive. They're doing it right. But it's not fast. And so the fact that we're able to get somebody quickly into care, I think is a huge step. And then, I've got plenty of friends who I live near Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So as you can imagine, home of the airborne. You didn't mention it, Justin, but I am proud to say I was dumb enough to jump out of planes.
Attaboy.
It was fun. But a lot of my friends and people I know in this area have seen a lot of combat over the last 20 years. And oftentimes, one of the problems is, like you said, that hesitation to make the first step, but then you make the first step and either the person you talk to doesn't match, and so you decide it's not for you, or a month and a half later, when you're finally getting into that appointment, you've decided, it's not so bad anymore, and I'm not going to go. And so I think one of the things that we do well is getting you, understanding you. Another stat I didn't mention is 98% of the people who come to us for care keep coming back. And that's how you can get through the PTSD and the trauma, is by regularly seeing somebody about that, about care. And so.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is near and dear to my heart. My grandfather was a tanker in the Korean War. Had 3 tanks blow up in 3 months. Promoted every time. Said, hey, the reason I got sergeant in 3 months was because I was the only one alive. And so I didn't understand PTSD, right, until it was named. But he'd sit there with his Lucky Strike tapping that thing all day, every day, just staring into the abyss. Yep. So it's very close.
And we're working hard to break the stigma and make it more acceptable. But for those who are still concerned about that stigma, that confidentiality piece comes into play. So if you want to shout it from the rooftops, please do. Let's get more veterans to step up and get the help they need. But if you want to be quiet about it, we're all for that.
Well, another thing too is making sure your mind and body's in balance. You know, the military is a very physical lifestyle. Corporate America isn't. And so sometimes people get out and they stop exercising and then they wonder where the anxiety is coming from.
Right.
And just make sure you're staying physical. Make sure you're staying healthy. I know me personally, before this call, I was in a cold plunge for 5 minutes. And that's how I am able to manage my anxiety, you know? So it's about uh, making sure you stay in balance and that you find people that truly care about you, right? That are professionals that want to give you their expertise. So no, seriously, Ned, it means the world. Thank you for what you're doing because we need more people like you out there.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, great. All right, so now try to follow that, Christian.
Well,
No pressure. Hey, I'm really so real quick. I'll do a quick intro, but and this is we're saving the best for last, right?
I wouldn't say that, but okay.
So he's a veteran as well. And Best Military Resume, I've followed Best Military Resume since the inception, and it's been really cool to see what you guys have accomplished. You know, there is I'll steal a little bit of your thunder, but hey, it's a free service to get two free resumes, LinkedIn optimization. There's some really good tools, but I really we save this because this is a great starting point to see results quickly. So go ahead. Let's hear more
Thank
about
you very much. I appreciate it. A little bit about me, retired Navy, and spent about 24 years in the Navy, retired chief. Got together with Brad when I was backpacking through Asia, and I've been committed to the Best Military Resume mission ever since. So just to kind of give you a little bit about Best Military Resume, we're an AI-driven application that allows us to be able to translate the skills from the military to the civilian sector. Now, there's a saying that we all know in the military that only 1% of the 1% of the nation's population serve. That means the other 99% have no clue what we do. And even within our own branches, we sometimes don't even know what each other do. I have friends in the Navy that I've served with that had no clue what an Aegis fire controlman did. They just thought I fought fires too. I mean, my family for about 15 years thought I was a firefighter until I had to tell them that I was like, no, I'm a technician. I shoot missiles for a living. But the reason why Best Military Resume was created by Brad, our CEO and founder, was he found a huge disconnect with a lot of these resume writing businesses, right? And they do their best. Some are nonprofits. For example, the USO is a really good one. But the problem is that they have hours, you know, they get a lot of emails and a lot of people. So he created the website specifically so it could be something that can be easily accessible to anybody. For example, Brad's in Japan. So think about all the veterans that are about to get out that are in Germany, Japan, Kuwait. They're not on the same time frame. So they needed something that was accessible any time of day. So Best Military Resume is there, AI driven, translates everything into whether you want a private sector or a federal resume easily within seconds. I kind of want to talk about personal branding, which I'm sure has already been discussed in its entirety here, but it's a true thing. And what we like to call is Best Military Resume kind of starts the resume life cycle. You create your master resume, putting in all your information, you know, and having to translate skills. Because some of the issues that we find is that there's a lot of jargon in the military, not just in one branch, but all branches. So a lot of people try to put a lot of that jargon into a regular resume, and that's not going to work for a hiring manager. Remember, 99% of the country hasn't served, so they have no clue what you're talking about when they talk about Aegis or your MOS and things like that. The other thing you want to take out is a lot of the acronyms. Like we all know, military loves making acronyms. We make acronyms such a big deal that we have acronyms within acronyms. So try to keep those away from your resume. No one's good. We barely understand each other's acronyms, let alone a hiring manager. And you want to focus a lot on transferable skills, especially if you're going towards a specific role. If you want to be a manager, focus on your leadership skills, right? How you had an impact as a leader when you were serving in the military. The big thing is you want to use metrics. What I've identified for a lot of people, especially when I talk to other Navy veterans, is that when you look at your evaluations, there's a lot of wording, but the best examples are the awards, your Army Achievement Medals, your Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medals. they'll have this big blurb at the very beginning and then another blurb that's like standard across the board. And then they have these 2 lines where they condense as much information about why you're receiving that award. That's pretty much how you want your bullets to look like when you're doing your resume. It's I did this and it led to this. You want to make those impacts. Use metrics. You were able to get a project completed early and you saved so much amount of money, or you created an efficiency by training your personnel into yellow ribbon, things like that. Now, going into structuring a results-oriented resume, you want to highlight your accomplishments rather than just your duties. Like, no one knows what a command duty officer is, but you have to explain what your role and responsibilities within that. So you can go ahead and put that into the project management, program management. Use a civilian-friendly format that prioritizes your skills and your experience. That's the big thing, because hiring managers get a lot of resumes and they want to make sure that you are showing your skills and what you bring to the table specific to the role, which goes into tailoring. Everyone can tell you on this panel that you cannot submit the same resume for every single job. That's not going to work. It's not. You have the applicant tracking system, which looks for specific keywords. And if you're not matching those keywords to a certain percentage, you're just going to get pushed to the left, right? So you have to tailor your resume to each individual role. Best Military Resume does that for you.
Real quick, you said tailor your resume. So I know, hey, you could build that master resume, then kind of build and pivot. Is there a way for them to, does the AI look at the job description?
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you bring that up. So the process is you create your master resume, and that's where you regurgitate all your evaluations, all your awards, and you break it down, right? And then what you do is, our AI is called Dan, and what Dan will ask you is like, hey, what's the job you're looking for? So let's say you have a job that you identified with Amazon, and then another job you found on clearance jobs. What you do is you take that URL for each job, and then you put it into Dan, and Dan would decipher that job's requirements and then take all the information that matches from your master resume and then tailors it specifically to that job. And then it saves it. Now you have your Amazon conventional resume. Now that clearance jobs is a GS-12 position. So a federal resume is completely different than a regular resume. Conventional resumes are 1 to 2 pages. As we all know, federal resumes can go as far as 12, 15 pages. I've seen some, my personal one was 10 pages. But Dan will do all that for you. You once again take the URL from that position, put it into Dan, and then it creates a federal resume for you instantaneously. So that way, you have 2 specific tailored resumes with 2 completely different formats done within seconds. So I want to talk about some of the do's and don'ts, specifically the don'ts. Your resume is your stat sheet. If anybody's into sports, we all know about stats. Home runs, points, assists, touchdowns, whatever the case may be, it's your stat sheet of why you're the MVP. It's not a player trade card. So we don't need graphs. We don't need pictures, right? You want to use all that page to go ahead and identify what stats you bring to the table. Now, like I said before, you have to tailor each resume, and that's very important. And I spoke briefly about the resume life cycle, is what we call it at Best Military Resume, because of the services we offer. So once you create that resume, I always recommend to everyone who comes on board is, hey, before you decide to send that resume to your hiring manager, use our LinkedIn optimization tool to go ahead and update your LinkedIn. Because what happens is these hiring managers, once they receive your resume, the first thing they do is they go to your LinkedIn, right? It's very similar that when we were all serving in the military, very often, whenever we got brand new orders for somebody, the first thing we did, we went straight to Facebook and social media to say, hey, let's see what this guy's all about. Let's see what this girl's all about. Let's see what they're like. It's no different right now with hiring managers and LinkedIn. And if your LinkedIn doesn't match your resume, that's a huge red flag. So definitely go ahead and get that LinkedIn optimization tool used and make sure it matches.
And also, I'll say real quick.
Yeah.
All your posts better be mission focused. Every morning
100%.
I get in my stream and I hit those 3 little buttons. I do not want to see this topic. I do not want political content, whatever. And I keep my LinkedIn purpose-driven as possible. And good
Absolutely.
managers are going to go look and say, what is this?
Absolutely.
What are their
Engagement's a huge thing on LinkedIn, right? The optimization tool kind of makes it a little bit easier for you, but now you have these certain subjects. If you want to be a project manager, talk about PMP, talk about project management, talk about lessons learned that you experienced during your time in the military, because we all have them. It can be very beneficial to not only making yourself look more hireable, if you will, but also could be something that someone else uses, right?
Mhm.
Then once you get that LinkedIn checked out by the hiring manager, they're going to probably email you and they're going to say, hey, tell us about yourself. Well, we also have an elevator pitch generator that's 30 to 60 seconds. So you have something to kind of work with that kind of builds off your master resume. So that way you have your elevator pitch that you can go ahead and use, whether it's via email or in person. And then that's kind of like the life cycle. And then along those lines, Dan will also ask you, would you like me to generate some questions based on this job description that they're probably going to ask you? That way you can kind of get yourself prepared to go ahead and go through the whole life cycle from inception to completion.
That is awesome. And then and I'll tell you, there's a bunch of these opportunities out here, but we chose BMR because one, it's veterans that are purely driven to make this the best AI resume writer, LinkedIn optimized
Absolutely.
possible. So I love that passion behind it and that they care. Now, real quick, they get 2 free resumes and a LinkedIn
Yes.
optimization for free, right? And then they can choose for like $20 a month or something. What is it? How's that?
So we have a subscription model where you can subscribe for $30 a month, or you can do 3 months and 6 months, which is at a discounted rate. The first 2 resumes are absolutely free. Now, that's only towards the resumes. The LinkedIn optimization tool, the preparation for the interviews, the interview questions, the elevator pitches, those are all free all the time to every veteran. So whether you just use the 2 resumes and never decide to get a subscription, you can still use all those tools. They're always available to every single veteran. And we strongly encourage spouses to use it as well. We're also a firm believer that, it's one team, one fight. So we don't expect a spouse and the veteran to get 2 subscriptions. We firmly believe that one subscription per household is enough to help everybody meet those challenges of trying to find and pivot into their new career.
That's great. No, I mean, this is a 105 minutes of action-packed information.
Mhm.
And is there anything you wanted to get across we haven't covered yet?
I think one of the 2 biggest things I want to go ahead and make sure everyone is fully aware of. Number one, we do not sell data, right?
Mhm.
So if you create a login with Best Military Resume, do not expect to be bombarded with emails from Publix, Trader Joe's, Home Depot, and all this other stuff. We do not sell any data whatsoever. We're familiar that there are some websites that actually do that. That's not our MO. We refuse to do that because we know how annoying it can be to get those kind of emails. And number 2, we use an AWS double encryption, so everyone's data is completely safe.
Very important. And then just because we were talking about it, I'm going to pop up something real quick of ours, Veteran Hiring Solutions. If a good friend of ours built these for us, these AI, he helped build the assessment program for the Navy SEALs. He's currently head of AI and assessment for Global Fortune 100. But if you're having problems figuring out kind of where your value is in corporate America, our bot North Star takes your MOS, your rank, and asks you 4 personal questions to understand your internal motivators and drivers. Hey, what gets you up in the morning? And it helps you better understand the right roles for you. So, hey, this is your fire controlman. Hey, 20 years in, you should be a maintenance supervisor. And you're like, but I don't want to turn a wrench anymore. Okay, let's talk about what else you might want to do. And then BMAX is you take your resume, job description, and you can even take the LinkedIn profile and it'll interview you for that role, give you actionable feedback. And then lastly, civil affairs. That is your transition bot. Once you're out of uniform and working in corporate America, it'll help you understand how to continue to influence and lead in a civilian environment. So we have some support there too. As we had talked about, maybe finding your right path, that kind of made me think that North Star might be of use to some people. But again, thank you to everybody that was here to participate and give the information. And then also for all the people watching. So we're going to jump in to see if what questions we have to answer. I'm going to look at Q&A here. Let me open up the right chat bot here. So much technology, so little time. So Deborah, do you see anything that we should be asking the team right now, or do we think that all questions have been answered?
We've answered all questions. If that's not true of a panelist or of a attendee, please jump in with it now, but we'll also be circulating the materials from our panelists, their links for LinkedIn and their websites, as well as the answers to any questions that were put into the chat today.
Yeah, and then what we're going to do too is we're going to splice up this webinar into each person's specific segment, so that when you come back, if you want to learn about entrepreneurship, you could just jump right into Lisa's. You want to learn about anything else, you can do that. And so I just want to say thank you all. I know we ran a little long, but I think it's because we had so much good information to pass on. All right, well, with that note, oh, one last thing. Your mindset matters, right? The little engine that could. If you think you can, you can't. If you think you can't, you can't. But I believe you can. And so does everybody else on this webinar. So thank you all so much for your time. I'm excited to see the impact this has. If you need anything, please reach out. Thank you all.
Thank you.